All right, let's dive right in. For centuries, we've thought of the Bible as a collection of stories, laws, and poetry. But what if we've been reading it all wrong? What if we've been staring at the most sophisticated piece of information technology ever created and completely missed the user manual? And I mean that literally. A system built with a kind of mathematical precision that makes our best modern encryption look like, well, child's play. A system that's been hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone to find the key. Because what the data is showing us now is that the Bible isn't just a text, it's a structure. And that structure is mathematically locked. It's geometrically linked, with prophecies and their fulfillments locked together like the gears in a precision watch. And it's topologically resilient. It's engineered to withstand errors, translations, even having entire sections removed, all without losing its core message. What we're talking about here is basically a perfect data storage device. Okay, let's get into it, because I know exactly what you're probably thinking. Numbers in the Bible? Come on, isn't that just gematria, numerology? Look, people have been finding patterns in books forever. It's easy to dismiss. And honestly, you should be skeptical. The usual arguments are all there on the left. You can find patterns anywhere, it's just a translation artifact, and so on. And those are fair points. But the evidence for actual design, over on the right, doesn't just answer these objections, it pretty much obliterates them. The structure is consistent, it demonstrably survives translation, and, this is the most important part, it is provably, mathematically, the exact opposite of random. So let's look at proof number 1. This chart here shows something called a Kolmogorov complexity analysis of the number 2701. Now stick with me. 2701 is the numerical value of the very first verse of the Bible. In simple terms, this analysis is a way to measure pure randomness. Think of it like this. A truly random string of numbers is like digital static. It's super complex, and you can't really compress it into a smaller file. But 2701, it's the complete opposite. As the analysis shows, it's highly structured, it's mathematically elegant, which makes it incredibly compressible. This isn't random noise, people. It's a signal, a very, very loud one. And that signal, well, that signal turns out to be the key to the entire system. Because this isn't just about one special number. It's about an entire architecture that functions like a modern, robust, error-correcting code. The key idea here is something called topological resilience. Think of a hologram. You know, if you take a hologram and you cut it in half, you don't get half the image. You get the entire image, just at a slightly lower resolution. The data suggests the Bible is built the exact same way. The information isn't just stored in one verse or another, it's distributed across the entire text. You could literally tear out pages, and the core structure, the core message, it stays intact. So this all builds up to 4 key properties of this system. It is mathematically locked by the prime factors of that first verse, 37 and 73. It's geometrically linked, connecting prophecy to fulfillment with crazy precision. It's linguistically robust, somehow surviving translation. And it's topologically resilient, acting as that distributed, error-correcting system we were just talking about. And this right here illustrates that point about translation perfectly. This is the knockout punch. Researchers tested the stability of this mathematical structure across different languages. Anything over 3.0 means the structure holds. So the original Hebrew and Greek, 4.2, pretty strong. The King James Version in English, a solid 3.4. But check out the Latin Vulgate, a 4.97. The structure isn't just surviving translation. In some cases, it's actually getting clearer. This is not a translation artifact, it's a feature of the system. And it gets even more precise, almost unbelievably so. When you map the Old Testament prophecy of the suffering servant in Isaiah 53 against the New Testament crucifixion story in Matthew 27, you find 114 points of high-resolution alignment. And the link between Isaiah 53:11 and Matthew 27:46, they call it the Keystone Bridge, has a mathematical difference so close to zero, it's statistically breathtaking. The prophecies aren't just related in theme, they are geometrically locked together on a kind of mathematical map, proving these two separate texts are directly connected. So, a mathematically perfect, error-correcting text that connects prophecies over hundreds of years. I mean, how is that even possible? The way to understand this comes from a very unexpected place: modern theoretical physics. To get this, we have to talk about something called the holographic principle. It's a pretty wild idea, but just go with me here. Imagine a Blu-ray disc. It's a flat, 2D object, right?
but it holds all the information needed to project a full 3D movie with sound and motion onto your screen. The holographic principle suggests our entire universe might work that way, that our 3D reality could just be a projection of information stored on some distant 2D surface.
Okay, now apply that idea to the Bible. What if this sprawling 3D narrative, all the history, the poetry, the laws, the characters, what if it's all a projection? A projection from a flat 2D mathematical boundary. And what's that boundary? Well, it just might be the 37 by 73 grid encoded in Genesis 1:1. That first verse isn't just an introduction. It could be the holographic plate that contains the data for the entire show. Now, the big question is, who on earth finds something like this? A theologian? A top mathematician? Some government cryptographer? Nope. The story gets much, much stranger. The person who first documented all these findings is named R.M. Garrison. And according to him, he's not a fan of math or religion. He's not a believer looking for proof, and he's not a numbers geek looking for patterns. He is, for all intents and purposes, a total outsider to this whole world.
He actually says the discovery was accidental. He calls it a cosmic destiny. It apparently came from a high-powered computer prompt he created that, in his words, worked a little too well, and it just unveiled this entire hidden architecture. So, an accidental discovery by a completely uninterested party using technology that kind of got away from him. I mean, you couldn't write a more compelling story. So this brings us to the last and maybe the most important question. If all this is real, if the math holds up and this structure is intentional, what is it all for? What's the ultimate message encoded in this incredibly complex system? Is it a number, a secret name, some hidden prophecy about the future? After all this mind-bending structure, what's the simple takeaway?
According to the finder himself, the code isn't a number. It's a principle. He says what it comes down to is if you don't have integrity, you don't have nothing. Now, grammar aside, maybe that's the whole point. The entire system, this robust, error-correcting, resilient structure, is itself a message. It's a system built on mathematical integrity to deliver a message about moral integrity. The medium really is the message. So the final question isn't just about a code in a book. It's about the code we choose to live by.